Hello everyone. Today we investigate the graphs of sine and cosine functions. Example. Find the altitude, period, vertical shift, and phase shift of y is equal to -5 plus 3 sine 2x plus pi over 2, then graph it. We will compare this to the form y is equal to a sine of bx plus c plus d, where a is your amplitude, d is your vertical shift, your period is equal to 2 pi over b, or absolute value of b, 2 pi over b, and your phase shift is equal to -c over b. Note, for graphing purposes, we can set the bx plus c between 0 and 2 pi, solve for x, and the leftmost number is the phase shift. All right, so two ways of finding a phase shift right here. Okay, let's do the comparison. We have y is equal to -5 plus 3 sine of x, sine of 2x plus pi over 2. And so let's find the different parts. Notice the -5, even though it comes first, is actually our d. So d equals -5. The 3 comes before the sine. Side of the a comes before the sine, or multiplied by the sine. So your a is equal to 3, right? Remember, if the 3 was a negative, we would have to take the absolute value for amplitude. So remember that. Okay, we also want to find the period, right? The period is 2 pi over b. Here we know that b is 2, so that is your b. So that's going to be 2 pi over 2, which is equal to pi. Then phase shift would be -c over b, and c we know was pi over 2, so it's going to be -pi over 2 over b, which is 2, so that gives us -pi over 4. So we found all those parts. Then we need to find or make a graph. In order to make a graph, to find the new cycle or the new period or the period of this function, remember the old period for sine was from 0 to 2 pi. One period of sine went from 0 to 2 pi. So we set the 2x plus pi over 2 between 0 and 2 pi, and then solve for x. Okay. So what we will do some algebra, subtract pi over 2 from both sides. And so we have negative pi over 2 left less than or equal to 2x less than or equal to 3 pi over 2. 3 pi over 2. Okay, next we divide through by 2 to get our x left by itself. And so what we have on the left side is negative pi over 4 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 3 pi over 4. So then our new period goes between negative pi over 4 to 3 pi over 4. Notice this negative pi over 4 is the same as the negative pi over 4 right here. So that's your phase shift. Now, in terms of our new range, so this would be like our new period and our new range. Our original range was from negative 1 to 1. We are multiplying that range by 3. So we're multiplying that range by 3, so that 3 negative 1 to 1. And so that will become negative 3 to positive 3. And then we are subtracting 5. So we do negative 3, subtract 5, and 3, subtract 5. So then that becomes, means we're going from negative 8 to negative 2 on our range. Negative 8 to negative 2. These are inclusive. So let's sketch that graph pretty quickly. So going from negative 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, negative 8. And then this side is going from negative pi over 4. The x is going from negative pi over 4. And so that's 0. It's pi over 4. It's pi over 2. And then we're going to 3 pi over 4. That's for one period. Right? Then we need to find the midpoint between negative 2 and 8. That's going to come to our negative 5, which is the same as our vertical shift, by the way. And then we plot the points. So we're going up to negative 2, from negative 2 to negative 8, and plot a period of sine right here. So we go like this, then down to negative 8, and then up back to negative 5. And so that is what one cycle of our new function would look like. So this is your graph of y equals negative 5 plus 3 sine of 2x plus 2x plus pi over 2, and we are done. Alrighty, let's do another example. Example here as to find the equation of the following sine wave. We want a to be greater than 0, b to be greater than 0, and we want the least positive number c, right? So first of all, what would this be? So we're in y is equal to a sine of bx plus c. Okay, so we want to find our amplitude. Our amplitude is going to be 1/2 of the highest number, which is 5, right, minus the lowest number on the function, which is negative 5. So that's going to be 1/2 of 10. So our amplitude is 5, right? So we found that our amplitude is 5. Now our period is our distance from peak to peak, or from crest to crest. We know the numbers 0, 5, and 4, 5. So the x values be 4 minus 0. So the period would be equal to 4. So b would be Well, we know that period was 2 pi over b. Period was 2 pi over b. Period equal to 2 pi over b. We got the period, so that means that 4 equal to 2 pi over b. So if we multiply by b and divide by 4, so b would be equal to 2 pi over 4, that'd be pi over 2. So we found b. Found b, right? Now what about the phase shift? The phase shift, we want c to be as small as possible, so we want to know what this point is. And since these are 1 units, then this is going to be like -1. That's the point. -1, 0. So we can read that from the graph. So your phase shift is -1, right? So your phase shift is -1. So to find c, you know that the phase shift was equal to -c over b. And we know that b was pi over 2. So -1 is equal to -c divided by pi over 2. So pi over 2 is equal to -c. So then c would be equal to positive pi over 2. All right, so finally, our equation then, be y is equal to a, which is 5, sine of b, which is pi over 2, pi over 2x, pi over 2x, plus c, which is pi over 2, so that's plus pi over 2.